Hey, Stacey Lokey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Guys, I am so excited. So normally I host Simply Cyber Live solo, but Stacey and I have been talking over the last couple months, and we thought it'd be really fun for Stacey to co-host Simply Cyber and really get that experience in the seat. And what couldn't be a better option than talking about breaking into the industry. Now, before we start bringing guests in, Stacey,
Mhm.
you also happen to be the target demographic of individuals who have broken in the last 12 months. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm like super blessed. I mean, it feels unreal to make it to the other side, but once you do, it's pretty cool to look back and be like, "Hey guys, we can do this." You definitely at the moment you make it over, you can't help but see how many other people you can bring with you.
Absolutely. So, Stacey, what was something that you did that really delivered a lot of value? Maybe it wasn't the thing that got you the
Yeah.
job, but definitely got to do it. Best practice.
Best practice, I know it sounds super cliche, but be yourself. At the beginning of my cyber uh, journey, I thought I needed to be like super technical. I need to be more DevOps, more, learn languages and whatnot. But honestly, I feel like what got me the job was me being me just saying, hey, I think it's a cool community. I love how positive it is. I love that I can continue to learn. And I've been really open about my struggles and about my little wins, as little as they may be. And I feel like it's resonated with people. It resonated with my hiring managers. It resonated with recruiters. And so truthfully, I think just being real about, what you know and what you don't know, I think, that for me, at least, that was the key. Being my talkative, nerdy self worked out in the end.
Yeah, so being genuine, being yourself,
Mhm.
absolutely. What about the flip side of that? What type of things did people tell you to do, right? Blowhards with gray hair like me. Oh, you should totally do this. Like what are things that you did that you felt really didn't return any value on your investment, whether it was time, money, etc.?
Well, everyone says like, I mean, I think it's a kind of a slippery slope either way, because what works for me might not work for somebody else, and what works for somebody else might not work for me. So, I'm one of those boot camp grads. And so like, a lot of people don't like boot camps and it doesn't work out. But for me, it did, and the same token, I don't have any certs. I don't have any security certifications, but I got the job. So it's so hard to have a defining line of, hey, this is what's going to work and this is what doesn't work. And that's why I kind of feel like you really just have to be true to like what you think your path is and what you think you should be doing. Because if you believe in it, other people are going to believe in it too.
So your role is a SOC analyst, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Now, when you were picking your role, because a lot of people, say, "Oh, I want to work in cybersecurity." It's like the first
Mhm.
thing you people tell you, and then the next thing is like, "Okay, well, what do you want to do? I can't help you unless I know what you want to do."
Yeah.
How did you start off going from "I want to work in cybersecurity" to "I want to be a SOC analyst"?
Yeah. So I think for me, I knew that I wanted to be in this industry because it offered a lot of opportunities to grow. So I knew no matter where I landed my foot in the door, like I could pivot and grow. And so luckily for me, for my initial cybersecurity job, I was a phishing analyst. So, people would submit their weird phishing emails, and then, I would triage them. And luckily I thought that was pretty cool. I decided, you know what, working in the SOC seems pretty cool. I want to see how do I dive deeper into this area? And the way you dive deeper is a detection and response analyst, which is what I pivoted to. And I actually got a promotion and landed a full-time job in the MDR.
I love it. I love it. What particular, I guess, is there any like one resource that you found really valuable?
This might seem kind of like, again, cliche or like talking to the audience, but it's like the big ones are YouTube and LinkedIn. It's like LinkedIn for that community and that support and those other resources. And then YouTube just for good old videos, like, from conferences, from RSA to like experts, Katie Nichols, or just like some MITRE stuff. You can't go wrong with at least these two things in your back pocket. At least I felt like, people are always sharing resources, and it can be in a really encouraging community. I know I've had really positive feedback from the LinkedIn community. Y'all have been really great to me. And so it's really helped when there's been times that I've been struggling.
Oh, thank you. And you know what? We've got a question for Damien here that I want to get to in 1 second. But I have a question because this is one that I can't answer for myself, and I'll never be able to because I've just been in the industry so long. Is Discord, because I tell people all the time, hey,
Mhm.
get on Discord. Like I said it in the intro. Did you find Discord to be valuable after you got in? Or was it valuable before you got in? Or was it intimidating? You know what I mean? Like, is because you just
Mhm.
said LinkedIn and YouTube were valuable. You didn't mention Discord. And
Yeah.
that doesn't reconcile with me. So I'm really curious. How do you perceive Discord as value before getting in?
So before getting in, Discord was like up there with like Reddit and like 4chan. Like it was mad intimidating. And so I think that's why I didn't initially broach that avenue. But having plugged in to LinkedIn and after getting the job, I found little pockets where it can be really valuable. I think the thing where I struggle with Discord is I'm not consistent enough. And I feel like those communities are really tight knit. And I feel like, hey, if I'm going to be a part of this community, I need to be giving consistently. So I think that's the only reason I don't plug Discord as a staple for me personally.
Okay. I'm just finding out right now that I've been sending the wrong link to our guests. So Casey, base mod, just a great mod, has informed me of this. So let's bring Casey on, Stacy. And, Casey from California, and he can be the first guest while I get this business sorted out over here. Casey, you're on with Stacy.
Hi. Hey, Casey.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. How are you?
Good, good. I'm excited for this show today.
Yeah, I'm super excited and pumped to learn about other people's stories. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I just started as a technical PM at NCC Group about 3 months ago.
Oh, okay.
And it's, it was funny. The kind of the story is I was talking with Stefan from the community, and I was in between interviews with Expel, and going for the associate analyst role, and I had a conversation with Stefan one Saturday, and he was telling me his spiel about utilizing your existing experience and not necessarily going for the minimal number of available entry-level positions just because that's the way that people think they need to get in.
Yeah, you're right.
And ultimately I ended up not making it to the final interview with Expel, which no big deal. I still love the company, still love everything you guys are doing over there. But I took that next Monday. I went and saw that NCC had a technical PM role. I have 6+ years as a PM.
Oh, wow.
And I went, all right, reached out to the recruiters, said, tell me about this role. They put my info through. About 3 interviews in, got the job.
That's awesome. And so I would say, I know in my experience it definitely helped, but like utilizing those past interviews that maybe didn't go so well. How did you utilize that past experience? Was it a mood booster, or was it kind of like, did you have to reframe your mindset going into this next interview?
It was very much every no is a step closer to a yes.
Right.
Yeah. How I took that. And I really went into the technical PM interview just like kind of shot in the dark. I have the PM experience. Let's see if my technical is enough for them to bring me on.
Wow. Okay. And then how did it feel when they let you know that, hey, you're the right person?
Oh, it was awesome getting the phone call from the recruiter, and it was on a Friday. So it's the end of my week too. So
yes,
great way to end the week.
Mood boost. And so did you have how did it go after that? You had your inner circle to tell? Do you tell your family? I bet everyone was super stoked.
Oh yeah, family. My wife was the first person I told, and I think Jerry was probably the second person I told.
Right.
And the rest of our mod chat.
Oh, that's
let
so
us know.
exciting. And I think you touched upon it too, is like you end up with this community of people who are rooting for you. And it helps so much when you're going into these next interviews to be like, hey guys, I got another one. They're all amped for you. So when you get to deliver the good news, I feel like it ups everybody's like circle. It's like they're all excited for you.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Hey, Casey, what one tip for everybody before we let you go?
Yeah. Utilize your existing experience.
Take advantage of existing experience. Sound
Exactly.
advice. I love
Leverage it.
I love it. Thanks so much, Casey.
Thank you, Casey.
Yep. We'll see.
All right, Stacy, it looks like we've got everybody, we've got tons of people queued up now. So it was definitely a layer 8 problem right here. We've got Casey, SOC analyst from Las Vegas, Nevada. Casey, you're on with Stacy.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. So tell us about your experience. What do you do? What do you do and how long?
Sure. SOC analyst for about 7 months now.
Okay, all right. And what do you think was what helped you land that role?
So my situation is kind of unique in that I actually was part of an apprenticeship, and so from that apprenticeship, I got the position.
Wow. Okay, so that's like the golden goose, right? Those are kind of rare to find, hard to find. So how are you able to land such a coveted spot?
So I was actually part of the very first Women's in Cybersecurity Veteran Cyber program, and so through that program, they had slots for us basically, and I'm a very I guess goal-oriented person, and I knew what company I wanted. I did the research, and I just executed, and so yeah, it's pretty much a dream come true.
Yeah, that sounds like it. So I guess in your experience, going after those associations, being a part of that can really pay dividends in the end, right?
Oh, most definitely.
All right. Wow. So any final advice for people still looking to break in?
I'd say double down on your strengths and interests, because you don't want to focus on something you don't like, because just like your passion, if you don't like it, it's not going to work out. So definitely focus on what you really enjoy.
And okay, I said that was the last question, but one more real quick. And so 7 months in, how do you like it? Is it still everything you thought it was going to be?
Oh man, everything and then more, because our SOC is not traditional. So I get to learn a lot of things. I get to learn automation. I get to learn digital forensics. So it's pretty awesome.
Oh, wow. And what company is this again, if you don't mind us telling, sharing?
It's Sentinel-1.
Cool. All right. Everyone, you heard it. You heard it.
That's right. Thanks so much, Casey, for sharing your story. Great tips coming out of here. I love it. Our next caller is Manos from Greece. He's a vulnerability management analyst. Hey, Manos, you're on with Stacy.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? It's my pleasure to be in this show.
Wow. Okay. All right. So tell us, what tips do you have for us?
I have many of those, actually. Some of the tips I would like to share with our network is that you can literally make your own career in cybersecurity very easily. To start with that and explain why is you have firstly to understand the requirements for the position you're interested, right? And what's the best to do for that? For example, if you're interested to start a career as a SOC analyst, you would need to have a basic understanding at network topologies, at architecture, at different services that come along with network protocols, and maybe some cyber threats that you are going to defend. After that, you have to enrich maybe some of the gaps that you have in these technologies if you're not coming from an IT background and you're from a different professional or different university. And in order to do that, there are many different resources. There are many free stuff, and I can also suggest simplycyber for that because there are a lot of free resources to use in this case. And also, when you want to, let's say, start a career, before you do that, you have to realize if you're ready to do a career like that. And in order to understand this career, you can make a network or speak with other professionals that did the specific career in order to understand if it is something that you would like to do in a daily workflow.
Yeah. Okay. So you said that you were a vulnerability analyst or management consultant. How long have you been in that role?
I have been almost 7 months right now. Mostly, I'm responsible for the hardening and patching of different servers with different operating systems. And also, I'm tracking the internal and external vulnerabilities based
wow.
on our enterprise.
Okay. And then prior to this role, what was your position before being?
That's a really interesting question. I was a SOC analyst for 3
You were a
months.
SOC analyst, and then you moved to the vulnerability analyst?
Yeah, and guess why? I guess I will just share it with no precautions. As a SOC analyst, and you know that better, you have a working shifting schedule. So you need to be really, let's say, passionate for that, and you need to understand that there will be times that we will feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because there will be, many threats, many actions that you have to do
Yes.
during the day, and it's gonna be, stressful. So the reason I, let's say, swapped the roles and changed it,
You transitioned,
because,
you pivoted.
yeah, I felt really overwhelmed. It was something I couldn't bear for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, being a SOC analyst is intense. It can be, I mean, I think we all know the lifespan isn't very long. Most people pivoted out, and you're a prime example. And so now you're happy and healthy, and you're looking to stay in that position, or you think you might want to pivot out and do something different later down on the road?
That's a really good question too. My final goal is to become a CISO. that's
Yeah.
big life expectation. But the reason I want to become CISO is I'm just trying to expand my knowledge to different perspectives, like blue team, red team. The starting position was a blue team. Now I'm just studying for the certification of SEC. For the red team, and now I'm gonna take this position as a GRC position, because it's not in a GRC position exactly, but I do some compliance too. I didn't refer earlier. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I love it, dude. If your goal is to be a CISO, I mean, you're definitely at the buffet table sampling everything.
I know, right?
Exactly.
You're definitely on your way. I love it. Thanks so much, Manos, for sharing from Greece and vulnerability management. I love it.
Thank you very much, though. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, take care. All right, so Stacy, our next one is Mahfouz. He is a pen tester at Close Brothers, which is a UK bank. Mahfouz, thanks for being here. You're on with Stacy.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear. So tell us.
Pleasure to be here. I love how it's going, by the way.
Oh, cool. Good. I'm kind of sweating a little. I'm a little nervous.
Nah, relax. Listen, there's hiccups, but that's part of the live experience, as I'm sure you know. So,
all right.
Amazing.
So tell us, what do you think has helped you break into your role or into cybersecurity?
Sure. So I'm 5 months into my penetration testing and vulnerability management specialist role. It is a handful of a title, I know. What helped me get it? I think visibility, Stacy. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
If you're learning, which many of us are because we have the internet, you're probably learning a lot. You need to make that public. Here's what I'm learning. Hack the box. Here's a machine I've compromised. Here's a write-up. Here's the stuff I learnt while compromising the machine. LinkedIn post, maybe a blog post, maybe a YouTube channel. Get yourself out there. That would be my short piece of advice.
Okay, no, I think that's brilliant, and I think similarly, I think that's kind of what helped me too. What were your favorite social media, or where was your favorite spots for you in particular? Where did you love to share your journey?
It has to be LinkedIn, Stacy.
Right?
It has to be LinkedIn.
It has to be.
Look, it's a professional Facebook, right? You're looking for a job or you're looking to move from one industry to another. LinkedIn is where the party's at, guys. Okay, so you need to put yourself on there. And Discord was mentioned earlier. Discord, I think, played an excellent part in terms of helping with good CV building and interview practice. Okay, I met complete strangers who I'm not paying by the hour, but they're providing me, advice that could be charged for.
That's true, right?
It's free advice, guys.
Yeah, you have access to CISOs and to top level professionals.
Exactly. Like, what do you do? Oh, I'm in this job, and they just list out your dream job. Well, you're talking to him for free now. It's a win. And some of these people in the community are quite amazing, super helpful. So you can't go wrong with a place like this one.
I think that was brilliant. Spot on.
Mahfouz, can I ask you a question? Being a pen tester, two
you
things.
can.
One, because I'm not a pen tester, right? That's, you
Sure.
know, I dabble, and even that is questionable.
Sure.
Did you find, like, obviously the hack the boxes, the try hack me's, those are skill development type stuff.
Yes.
With the try hack me rankings and the gamification and the blog posts, when you went to interview, were those elements relevant to the hiring candidate or the hiring staff, right? Did they ask you, or were they
Sure.
intrigued when you told them about those things?
Okay, so it's more about attitude, Gerald, right? So it's the fact that I'm talking about my experience with Hack the Box, what I learned. The attitude shows I'm genuinely interested in cybersecurity, right? I'm not in a job, but I'm talking. This guy's not in a cybersecurity job, but he's talking about cybersecurity all the time on LinkedIn. That gets you through the door. And then at the interview stage, I'll say it's more about, it might be a technical set of questions and you need to answer competently. So, there's several stages, but you need to get yourself through the door and get yourself doing interviews. If no one invites you for an interview, guess what? You're not getting a job. So get yourself there first. And then, heck, if you don't get a job, at least you're getting interview practice. And then you're going to get better at it and probably get job offers come through.
I love it. All right. Well, thanks, Mahfouz, so much for sharing.
No worries, man.
We're gonna say goodbye to you and get ready for the next person. Thank you. All right. All right. Hey, before we bring up our next awesome guest, Stacy, I think this is going awesome. I love your hosting capabilities. Chat. I know that we've been moving fast. If you want to be on the show with us and share your story, if you broke it in the last 12 months, DM me on Discord. You can hit !Discord to get the Discord invitation. Just DM me, tell me what you want to do. You want to be in it, and I'll send you the link and you can bring it in. Stacy, we're going to bring on someone who I've been engaging with quite frequently on LinkedIn, at least back when she was trying to break in. And I've watched her break-in story, and it's been fantastic. I mean, I've been watching from a distance, but it's still cool. We are welcoming onto the call. I want to make sure I get it right. Alana Stroud. I wanted to get her role right. Cybersecurity risk content analyst from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Alana, you are on with Stacy.
Hi. Nice to meet you, Stacy.
Nice to meet you too. So is it Alana or Elena?
It's Elena, long A.
Okay,
Elena. Right. Let me just back up. I'm sorry, Elena.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
How would you ever know? You would never know.
Let's just rewind the tape. Okay.
No. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. All right. So say your position one more time. What is it that you do?
So I am a cybersecurity risk content analyst. Basically, I work for CyberGRX. I've got my shirt on. We do third-party risk management, and I am in charge of the content that goes into our assessment. And I have a cybersecurity background, so I guess that's how it all fits together. It is kind of a weird title, but
yeah, I think that's the first title I've heard like that. So that's why I was kind of interested. Okay, so what advice do you have for breaking in? What had helped you land this position or land the job?
Network. When I went to Secure Set, which is cybersecurity boot camp, and one of my instructors, Nato Riley, he's on LinkedIn as well. Yeah. So he was one of my instructors, and I was like, you've got what I want. And I asked him to help me. So he taught me how to use LinkedIn, and it is a tool. I don't care what anybody says. It's a tool. So he was like, this is what you need to do. This is how, create your own hashtag. So I have my own hashtag that I add to all of my posts.
Okay.
Prior to going into cyber, I drove Lyft full-time for 2 years. So I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. I don't care what your title is. I don't care what acronyms you have after your name. I want to know. I like to ask questions. So LinkedIn for me was an awesome opportunity to get straight in there, start talking to people, asking questions, learning things. I would share articles. I would share things that I was learning myself. Anything to get people engaged, talking to me, asking questions. Just the community is so amazing. Like, Oz was saying. So yeah, I mean, that's really it in a nutshell. My first job was in a SOC, and the CEO saw a post. We weren't even connected. And he wrote me, Yeah, he wrote me and he was like, send me your resume. And he gave me a chance to interview. And that ended up being my first cyber job. And I was there for a year. And I came into Cyber GRX about 5-6 months ago. And even in my interviews there, they were asking me about things that they had seen, that they see on my profile. So it's important. It's important what you put out there. It's important to keep your profile updated with everything that you're doing, everything you're learning. It's an amazing place. And that's got me here.
So that being said, I know some people have a trouble reaching out and making those connections. Do you have any advice for them on how to make a connection, how to maybe reach out to someone who works at your dream company?
I mean, it's really, I just tell people, don't be shy. I know it's difficult. You feel like you're bothering somebody. You don't know what somebody's up to. You don't want to reach out and, interrupt their day. But the cyber community is so supportive and friendly.
It is.
There is no one that I have ever reached out to that was like, I'm sorry, I'm too busy for this. I don't have time for you. I don't want to talk. No one has ever turned me down. And I have directly on my profile that I like to help entry-level cyber people because that's how I got in. People helped me. So if anybody is watching this and you have questions or you want some help, please reach out, message me. I'm always on LinkedIn. I'm glad to help direct you. But yeah, just don't be shy. We are all here to help each other and lift each other up.
No, I think you've touched on an excellent point because in my, I came from hospitality, and it's interesting because in cyber, I feel like the community as a whole is super positive and willing to help. And like you said, like there hasn't been a person that I've reached out to who's been like, I don't have time for you. No, everyone's been super willing. And so, but it does take some risk on your part having to reach out and make those connections.
Yes, but if there's no risk, you gotta, what's that saying? You gotta risk it for the biscuit. But I mean, it's true. If you don't take that step, if you don't step out on that limb, you never know if you're gonna fly. And everything is up here. Everything is mental. So, and just because someone else tells you it's impossible, it may be impossible for them, but it's not impossible for you. Yeah. So, I mean, those are just all things that I try to help people with.
That's awesome. Well, couldn't agree more.
I love it, Elena. One question I have for you, Elena, and if you don't want to talk about it because I don't know the backstory, we can just move on. But I know when you originally broke in and then you didn't stay with that company and now you took the job you have now. And I thought that was an important lesson because from the outside looking in, I feel like people are so hungry and so desperate to break in that when they finally get it, it may be a situation that isn't a good situation. And now they've got this catch-22 of like, oh my God, I worked so hard for this. What do I do? If you are comfortable, do you want to talk about like being true to yourself, I suppose? Because I think that's kind of how I perceived it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love security. I'm not sure that I loved being in a SOC so much. I'm 41. I'll just throw it out there. And some of the hours working in a SOC are difficult. It's grueling work. It was hard to get time off. And when I was in cyber school, I knew that I had an affinity for GRC. I knew that that's the direction that I wanted to go. So as I gained experience in the SOC, which I loved, I loved the experience that I gained there and the things that I did, but I knew that wasn't ultimately where I wanted to be. And I put in my year. I started looking around. I let my bosses know, hey, and they were supportive. He was like, hey, you need to be true to yourself. And cyber is so vast. How do you know that where you end up the first time around is going to be where you want to stay? You don't. There's so many different things. And as I learned more and more, it was like, okay, I want to start going that way. So I need to start making connections in that realm. I need to start studying up. And, your GRC course, phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. I thank you. That makes me blush.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, that's pretty much it, is you really have to evaluate, am I enjoying this? Is this something I want to do long-term? What feeds my soul? And go from there.
Yeah. And it's so true. I feel like it's going to be short-term gain, long-term loss as it just kind of eats away at you. And you were there a year. I didn't realize that. In my mind, it was like you were announcing that you got the job and then you were announcing that you were not going to work there anymore. I was like, God dang. But anyways, Elena, it was nice to speak with you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your tips. We'll say goodbye to you now, but please continue with the stream as always, and a member of the Simply Cyber community as well. Thanks,
you. Thanks, Barry. Thanks, Stacy.
Bye, Lena.
So, Stacy, our next caller is Jake from West Texas. Jake, you're on with Stacy.
Hey.
Hello, Jake. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well, hanging in there. So tell us, what do you do in cyber and for how long?
So right now I am a GRC analyst. I've been a GRC analyst for, I guess, technically like 15 months. So I'm a little past that year mark, but yeah, not too long. And this is actually, this GRC position is my first like cyber position that I've had, actually. I kind of broke into GRC from the help desk.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting transition. All right. And so what's your tips, or what's something that helped you land that role or transition into cyber?
So I think I can kind of harp on what Elena said with the networking, but also like don't forget to network internally at a company. If you are at a large organization that has a GRC kind of department, I think what set me apart, I mean, I came from help desk to GRC, so there was a long history of my work that they could go back and look at, and making sure that you shine to the people who you want to shine to internally is really important. And then making sure like being available to them as well. Like they need to know who you are.
Yeah. Now, were you ever scared to let people know that you might want to transition out of the help desk, or is that kind of like?
No, I was pretty open about it. I was very open that I was in school. I was working on, getting past the help desk and kind of doing like other things than the help desk. So, and maybe that's, just good management from my team at the time, where they were also able to kind of push me to the right people as well. But no, I was open about my intentions.
That's good, because I do feel bad for the people who are like, trying to transition into cyber from a different career, but like can't post about it, can't talk about it really, because I feel like it's such an opportunity lost right there in that learning stage.
For sure, especially when you have like a direct connection with somebody already.
Yeah. So were you able to have any one-on-ones with the department that you're now in the GRC department?
Yeah. So, I mean, to be totally honest, it's kind of small. So they're like, if a ticket gets sent to security, like they're going to see it. So, we had like a working relationship already. And then just getting beyond that and I mean, this goes back to networking, and it kind of like sucks that it feels like this sometimes, but like just being friendly with people and open and making yourself available to them and letting them know what you want and just hearing what they want as well and seeing how you can help them.
So a little bit more about the transition. So was this a position that came open internally, or was this a position they created for you? How did that come about?
No, it was an internal position. Our company or our organization has been developing their GRC a lot more in the last few years. And I mean, there's a whole long history about that. So not only are they like developing the team, I was the first hire now. So now I'm going to have some experience to like help develop the team as well. So, I mean, that's a little like my story.
No, but that's really cool. I mean, that shows it paid off. To share your story, it paid off. You got in at ground level, and now you're turning around, helping hire more people for this department.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. So I guess if I ask you, how do you like your job now? What's the answer?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest, I struggled kind of early on in the first few months with GRC because it was GRC and it wasn't like analyst stuff or red team stuff where I didn't have hands on keyboard with anything. I was working out of, Outlook and reading contracts and Word and all that stuff. It just wasn't like sexy or whatever. But I mean, I've learned to fall in love with it the last 6 months. So not 6 months, I guess the last year or so. And I don't know, just like it's hard you just have to fall in love with the process and understand that it's different than everything else in cyber, and kind of the grass is always greener no matter where you are. So do what you're there for.
I think maybe too that you touched upon. I mean, when you work with a company who's like open and willing, it makes you want to be open and willing. And then in this case, it benefited you because you ended up finding a pretty sweet job, got in ground level. It's pretty exciting.
And it's a good culture to be in too.
Yeah.
Jake, one question I have for you, because it's another kind of common conception in our industry that like help desk is a great like entry-level feeder role that can get you into cyber if you're having a tough time. I don't know how long you were at help at the support desk. But did you intentionally take that role to go there, or did you get there and then find out about cyber and you're like, oh, this is perfect, I'm already here? Like, what was that? How did that work?
Yeah, so I mean, my whole IT journey in general is kind of accidental. I just kind of found out that I liked it while I was in school, and then started going to school for IT stuff. So when I got the help desk job, I was getting the help desk job as a launchpad for other stuff. But I mean, I think at the time I was looking more like a network engineer role. So, but then you find out about cybersecurity throughout the coursework, and it was way more interesting than networking to me. So I just, I guess to answer your question, no, I didn't do it intentionally to get into cyber, but you kind of accidentally like fall in love with stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. It's easy to fall in love with cyber. I'm a big I heart cyber guy, personally. So Jake, thanks so much for sharing your journey. We're going to let you go here and bring in our next caller. Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
Bye, Jake.
Stacy, our next caller is Stacy also. So Stacy, meet Stacy. Stacy is from San Antonio, Texas. Thanks, Stacy, for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hey, Stacy, how are you?
This is so cool. You even spell it with the E.
I know, the right spelling, right? No. There's been so many rhyming names today. It's great.
I know, right? There's been a theme with the Stacy. Okay. So tell us what you do and how long have you been doing it?
Yeah, for sure. So I started my position in January. It's actually technically an apprenticeship still, but I'm actually in training and awareness. So I'm a program manager for a cybersecurity training and awareness and marketing firm. And we come in and we do basically custom cybersecurity awareness and training campaigns for organizations based on their needs, their specific risk, and who they're trying to target in their organization.
Okay. All right. And then, so kind of an interesting area. How did you get interested in this area? Or was this an area of interest, or was this an opportunity that we want to grow in? How did that happen?
No, I think it's both. And I think that's sort of my biggest piece of advice. I'm coming from working in education. I've been in education the last 15 years. Became really interested in cybersecurity, but don't have the technical background. I've been doing a lot of self-study, but, in networking and talking to people and talking to different mentors, a big piece of advice I got too was looking at what I can do that's transferable so that I can begin to break in. And I think a huge interest from me was sort of a training and awareness piece that got me interested in the first place. And so it's the perfect avenue for me to break in because so much of what I've done for the last 15 years transfers over into that with education. So it's been, just a great way to come into the industry while I can also continue to learn technical skills and also throughout this position, meet and network with more people in the industry.
No, so I think that is a really brilliant. I think this is a great example of like you said, finding what you're good at and then like transitioning it into cyber, and you were able to make that that transition is seamless. So do you think this is an area that you want to stay in? Are you interested in other departments?
I'm interested in other departments, but this has been really great too. I mean, I'm passionate about this because I think, this is where we see the issues happen, right? Is the average user, the average employee, and helping educate them on what they need to do to protect the organization is so important. But we need more people and translating that message and explaining it and helping people connect with it. So it has definitely resonated with me on that end for sure.
Was there any other significant things that you think helped you land this position?
I mean, everyone said it so far too, right? Like networking, reaching out, being vulnerable, not being afraid to just put yourself out there and ask. And to be honest, in this position, I was offered it on the spot in a networking call. So, I mean, it really does pay to put yourself out there and connect and say, hey, do you have a minute to talk to me? And here's where I'm at. And here's like you said too, here's my skill set. Here's what I don't know. Here's what I want to learn. Can I have a chance? And people, taking that chance, but being who you are and being honest, I think too.
I know you said you come from a teaching background. So does that mean you were always kind of outgoing? And was this easy to network? Was that easy for you? Or was it out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm fairly extroverted, but I think, networking maybe came a little bit easier to me in some regard, but there's still always nerves, right? It's still, it's hard to ask the questions and to go out there. And also, I mean, I think where I struggle is not wanting to interrupt anyone, right? Of like, oh, you're so busy, or, you know, like I think Alana said earlier, you know, like I'm not afraid to talk to anybody, whereas I'm kind of the opposite of that. I'm like, oh, that person doesn't have time for me.
Excuse me, I'm
right?
sorry.
Exactly. So building that confidence to be able to say, like, one, the community's been so welcoming and people are willing to help, but two, to say, like, you're doing this because you have a passion and an interest, and like, no one should, you know, no one's going to fault you for that. And, you know, and if they don't have time, then you go on to the next person, but there are plenty of people out there who are willing to help and guide.
Yeah. I love that you were offered the job on a networking call. Like it happens, people, right? You don't, like, not everybody has to go through 7 layers of hell of interviews to get the job. So I'm super pumped for you, Stacy. This has been cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your story.
Sure.
We're going to drop you and bring in our next guest. Okay.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'll see if I can find another Stacy with an E for you, Stacy. Our next caller is Gabe. Gabe is from Sacramento, California. Gabe, you're on with Stacy.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Hey, Gabe, super awesome and highly cyber background you have going on.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm in the process of relocating, so I needed a little bit to cover all these boxes that I have behind me.
Okay. Well, you're definitely on brand, on theme. So tell us, what do you do and how long have you been doing it for?
Well, I'm a CISO, and I've been a CISO since September of last year. I was a consultant before that. Okay. And I've been going to school for like the last 4 years. I'm working on a master's degree right now in information systems management. But it's been an awesome journey, and I didn't even know about Simply Cyber or a lot of the other, more well-known influencers. Like when I started and just getting in the community and networking, I realized, like, hey, there's all these free resources and opportunities out there. Just, you know, you've got to just get to know everybody, and really cool community. I was in a construction field before this as a project manager, so this community is a lot different and very welcoming and supportive.
Right. It's kind of like, I mean, again, I don't have experience in a lot of other communities, but I just feel like this has to be rare. This isn't, other industries don't act like this, do they? I mean, they've been so supportive in almost like every turn. It's kind of unreal.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because like I don't have a lot of experience as much as other CISOs, so I'm new in this field, but you know, I wanted to come on and share that, like, your background has a lot of experience in it, and it's relative to, you know, the tech field. So for instance, you know, in project management, I'm securing, I'm ordering supplies, I'm securing those supplies, I'm tracking, documenting different projects and funding and the whole 9 yards that it goes into. All that stuff, you can from your past experiences, you can relate it and use it in your IT or cybersecurity field, whatever you're going into. So it's important to look back. A lot of people think they don't have experience, and that's a huge thing to break in the field, right? I need experience. If you have it, you have to find it.
I think that's brilliant. That's it right there. And so how did you, did you just take your experience position by position that you were applying for? How did you translate your current experience and to make it marketable into cyber? How did you tailor to each role, or did you just do kind of a blanket thing? What's the key to success right there?
So I wanted to share, it's kind of like, I'll share like a really quick summary of how I got into cyber. So basically what happened is I got hurt, I got injured in the construction field, and I got retrained. They, you know, and they said I had some money on the GI Bill, and I went to school. I said, I want to do, you know, what I've always wanted to do. I want to be like a hacker, right?
Yeah.
So I started going to school because, you know, pen testing is like the super cool thing, right? And then I learned about GRC and all these other different areas that you can go into. And so I started going to college, and then I would do projects, little Arduino IoT type projects, little coding projects, things like that. I started posting them. And then my current employer saw these projects and started talking to me, and he owns an IT service. He's an MSP. He owns an IT services organization. And so he started talking to me, and he wanted to get serious about, you know, information security. So I started, you know, kind of consulting, and he brought me on as a consultant. And then when he saw that, I wasn't, like I have a lot of background in management and things like that, I was able to help him develop his entire business into 4 different departments, areas. So I like kind of restructured his entire company, and he was blown away by, how meticulous I was at contracts and things like that. So I was able to leverage a conversation and projects that I had publicized into getting into this position. And it's and it doesn't happen, to everybody, but it's something that I think that and it's a smaller business. So if you can hack your way into the system, right? Go after a smaller IT company and just get a conversation going and show them what you know, and hopefully you'll get your foot in the door.
Wow.
I love it. I love it. And it just shows you people, like for those in chat, right? You can even break in at the senior levels, right? If you have comparable skills that can translate in, there's no reason there's no rules that says you can't do that. So Gabe, thanks so much for sharing your story. We're going to let you go and bring in our next caller.
Thank you,
My
Gabe.
pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Stacy, our next caller is Josh from Germantown, Maryland. Hey, Josh, you're on with Stacy.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Hey, Josh, tell us what you do and how long have you been doing it?
Yeah, I'm a SOC analyst for Zenith Technology Partners. They're a contractor for the SBA.
Okay. And how long have you been at that role?
6 months.
6 months. And do you like it?
Yeah. It's a great job. It's SOC analyst, so it's like, boots on the ground.
Grinding. You're in the trenches.
Yeah, I see everything.
So, what do you think helped land you this job? What was something that you did that you thought was really helpful?
I think my experience, like from college, like just being in the cyber club and trying to do extracurriculars and tinkering on my free time, playing in CTFs.
Mm-hmm. So, how did you find this position? Was this something that you just applied for? Did you know somebody?
A recruiter found me on LinkedIn.
Okay, so a recruiter found you. So what were you posting on LinkedIn?
I just said I was in transition from my previous role, and I was just looking, and then I got a call from the recruiter, and
I mean, you have to give us a little bit more. You had to have been doing something, right? For a recruiter reached out to you. Were you posting a lot of the things that you were doing, or were you just like really active in your club and then like those posts?
Yeah. I guess I was doing like Try Hack Me and things like that, and my resume is really well laid out. Like I've definitely worked on it a lot. I have good experience. Like this is my second like SOC type role. I was at Leidos before, and at Leidos we were doing similar type things. So I also have experience, with like forensics and.
All right. So do you like the SOC, or do you think you're going to stay in the SOC? Or are you trying to grind for something else?
No, I mean, okay, the SOC, I like some of it, but not. It's still like. It's the bottom, so I don't want to stay here. Definitely not. I definitely know that I want to do threat detection and like that kind of stuff, or like malware analysis, that kind of stuff. So
all right, and so you're just getting your. I think a lot of people. I think that's the thing too. Is like you got to get your foot in the door, and you get that experience, and then you can leverage it, right?
Yeah. The thing is, like, I feel like since I know now, like, I like threat detection and. I can see like attacks now, like, and I read through logs all the time. It's helping me like gain better like recognition of like what attacks look like. Like I learned today like what Cobalt Strike looks like in Windows event logs.
Yeah.
So, like like that I can kind of like use that as an experience in another interview somewhere. So I definitely know like
I love it. I'm just thinking of Josh. I'm thinking of Josh watching the logs go like it's the Matrix. He's like redhead, Cobalt Strike, blue dress, like, just reading the logs. That's cool though. I love one thing you said that I'd like to understand a little bit more. You said that your resume is really good. Did it go through iterations of updating, or do you just have a killer one, or did what is it about your resume that's so good?
Yeah. So it did go through iterations. I took it to the Career Center a bunch, and basically it was like I shrunk it to one page. I had to really make it fit on one page only, and I just eliminated like things that were not necessary and just put bullet points of like the most important activities that I did. And like I have to leave off some stuff, right? Like I don't put every single you know, when I did summer sales or something, I don't put like help desk, you know, but I just put on like the experience that relates to exactly the job, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And like,
no, it's perfect. Yeah, it's high value. It speaks to whoever's looking at it. Just to remind everybody, if your resume needs some help or a better format, on simplycyber.io, free cyber sources or resources or something at the top, all the way to the bottom, it's 3 different cybersecurity templates. One is if you do a lot of lab work, and one is if you have some industry experience in IT or whatever. Some you're not like coming straight out of college. So go check those resumes out. Josh, thanks so much for sharing your stories and all the great tips and stuff. Genuinely appreciate it.
Yes, yeah.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, we'll talk to you. Stacy, our next guest is Justin from Lexington. Justin, you are on with Stacy.
Hey.
Hey, Justin, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
That's good. So tell us, what do you do and how long have you been doing it?
Yeah, so in February, I got transitioned from actually an operations role. So I work at a wastewater and water municipality. So the guy who's leading IT wanted to change roles, so they moved me in. I guess really all I really did to sell myself was when I got the job for operations. I told them I had an IT degree, and I knew they were a growing company, and I wanted to be a part of IT. And if
that's
they had
brilliant.
any openings to put me there.
No, that's great. It's you being verbal about what you want and letting people know so they can help you. And so they were pretty receptive. It was an easy transition, or?
Yeah. So basically, whenever they offered it to me, they just told me, here, try it. If it doesn't work, we'll move you back. No worries in that way.
And so do they have a cybersecurity division that you're gonna try and work towards, or?
So actually, I'm the only IT person in-house. Everything else is handled by MSP.
Okay.
Managed security provider as well. It's the same company. So really, I just deal with the company and then just middleman to the MSP and deal with them.
All right. And so what do you think your future goals are after this position?
Currently, I'm studying for Pen Test Plus.
Okay.
I just passed my Security Plus at the end of March. So.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. So really just trying to take advice from everybody that I, talk to and figure out what's a good path forward, because, everybody's in this position because, let me reword that. Nobody takes a straightforward path to get to where they're at. So you just got to keep working and figure out where it goes and be open to what comes your way.
No, I think that is one of the great things about cyber and about a lot of the people that we spoke with, that it didn't sound like not one of them had the same path or same transition into cyber. So it really does offer hope and opportunity that, hey, it's not too late. I can still transition in, or, I'm going to use whatever experience I'm getting right now and help that propel me to my next position. So what interests you about wanting to be a pen tester? Is that?
To me, it just has the most creativity and interplay. Maybe it's not put into a box. There's no routine way of. I mean, there's frameworks, but it's not routine or monotonous. It's very open ended.
And I think the brilliant part too is the experience that you're getting right now. You might unleash and you might realize hey, I really think this part's interesting. Let me focus into there. But I think that's with tech in general. It's really versatile. It's always, hey, I'm not into this anymore, and you're not pigeonholed into a corner.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it was like what they were saying earlier. You don't know what you want to do until you find out that you don't want to do something. So you just
there
have
you
to
go.
try.
That's it, right? That is it. That's the money line right there.
So well put. All right, Justin, thanks so much for sharing
go.
your story and your tips, man. It's great to see you too. Put a face to the name. Justin and I have been talking on Discord quite a bit lately, so good to see you, Justin.
Yeah, good to see you.
All right, Stacy, our next guest is going to be Purav, and I think I'm saying that right. He's calling from London, England. Purav, you are on with Stacy.
Hi, Stacy. Hi, Gerald. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Is that how you say your name? Purav? How do you say your name?
It's Parav. Parav, yeah.
Again, I'm going to have a corrections episode of this stream. Purav, thank you.
Okay, Purav, tell us about what you do and how long you've been doing it.
So currently I'm a Microsoft security specialist at a consultancy, but I've spanned quite a few roles in cyber. So like most people on the call today, I started off as a SOC analyst. Then I moved into vulnerability management, and I also did a bit of risk assessment, so GRC. But currently I'm focused on sort of the Microsoft sort of security stack and improving that for our customers. I like to be more hands-on than sort of GRC.
Okay. That makes sense. And so I guess since you've had several roles, what's led to those transitions, or what's made those successful transitions? How do you find the new role? How do you transition? How'd that go?
Yeah, I guess from SOC analyst to vulnerability management, I mean, alert fatigue is definitely real. Like, you know, you work with your team or your direct analyst to kind of tune out noise and things like that, but it can be a bit repetitive. What helped me, I think, was just kind of empowering myself to go a bit above and beyond that. So I know someone earlier mentioned phishing emails. So I came up with a way to sort of implement a way to purge phishing emails more efficiently. I also did some automation using Logic Apps in Azure. I did a presentation around data protection, all those kind of things outside of a SOC analyst sort of direct remit. And that allowed me to transition. But being honest with you, with the vulnerability management one, I didn't even know what a CV was on day one. But yeah, there was me within a month sort of presenting to key clients. So it was quite a steep learning curve. But I'm really passionate about this industry, as I think a couple of others alluded to earlier as well. Constantly researching things, watching webinars. You know, I've been watching Gerald's show for quite a while now as well, and just kind of keeping up to date to help the transition as well.
Now, so is this something? So you've been able to make a lot of career changes. Is this something that you were vocal about in your work environment, or was this something that you did externally? How were you able to navigate that?
I would say more externally. I think LinkedIn has obviously been a great one just to approach sort of recruiters and agencies as well. I did try in my direct companies, like I wasn't necessarily looking to leave, but you know, there comes a point where maybe they can't help you too much more than what you have at the moment, and you kind of need to think for yourself, like, you know, if I can learn on my own and get a better position at somewhere else, then why not, sort of thing. But yeah, I was vocal about it in my current place.
Touching on that point, I guess, so once you've already broken in and you land that job, how did you know that, hey, maybe I'm ready to grow? Maybe this position isn't, you know, everything. What was the breaking point for you, do you think?
As a SOC analyst, it was probably 9 months in. I kind of felt like there wasn't much more I could do. Like, I was a tier 1 analyst, but I had capability and knowledge to do tier 2 work, but I was very much segmented as a tier 1 analyst. So I couldn't do like containment actions, isolating machines, you know, proper forensics, proper incident response, like really like low level stuff, which I really wanted to get into. And I had knowledge about that from, again, playing around in home labs and watching webinars and things like that. So that was kind of the breaking point where the work kind of got a bit repetitive. I didn't really feel I was learning. I think that's been a big one for me. If I don't feel like I'm learning or growing, then I'm stagnating, right? And that's where I would like to kind of transition potentially.
No, I think that's awesome. Like, you showed like a really forward momentum. And I know, like, you know, historically, I think like, at least in my parents' generation, it's been like, no, you need to stay at this one company, at this one job, and, you know, whatever. But like, I don't know, like, your story is so inspiring to be like, nope, let me keep grinding. Let me keep hustling. Let me just go on to what's next. Like, that's exciting.
I mean, especially in IT and cyber, I think most people, you know, it may be an unpopular opinion, but a lot of people do move within 1 to 2 years because the market, it's a candidate's market right now. There's plenty of roles, there's plenty of companies out there, there's plenty of diversity in the different types of roles within cyber that you can move to. And for me, like I said, because the different types of roles I've spanned really allows me to specialize in this role and, in future roles as well. So yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been saying recently to this point that like you really have to think of yourself as like the CEO of the business of you. You are the business, right? And when you go work for a company, like, yeah, you work for that company and you do your job for the company, but you're essentially like, even though you're a full-time employee, it's like you're a contractor and you're consulting from your company for them, right? And if it's not helping you, then it's not a good fit. So,
Absolutely.
Parav, thank you so much for sharing your stories, your knowledge and experience. Genuinely appreciate it. I know a lot of people learned a lot today. I'm gonna drop
one last thing to say.
Yeah.
Just Stacy said no certs. I also did it without no certs. It is possible, guys.
Okay.
So
Nice.
keep grinding. Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that. Another great point. Thank you, Purav. I love that we're getting such a diverse and interesting story from so many different people. No certs, this country, that country, SOC, GRC, like no interviews, right? Like there is no one size fits all people. Like it's not whatever misconceptions you have of what the process is, blow it out because it's not always that way. All right. Stacy, our next guest is I'm going to say this one wrong too, I'm sure. Anor from Austin, Texas. Anor, you are on with Stacy. I'll just stay here so you can tell me how I said it wrong.
Yeah, I should have told you how to pronounce Anwar.
Anwar.
Okay. Oh, very cool name. All right, Stacy, you're on with Anwar.
Hey, Anwar, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Oh, good.
Listening to all of you.
It's exciting. You can't help but get like hyped up hearing everyone's stories and the cool things that they're
Absolutely.
doing. It's definitely contagious.
It just tells you that there's a difference for different paths for getting into the industry. So yes, absolutely.
So what do you do in cyber and how long have you been doing it?
So for me, just like everybody else, I'm kind of like new into this proper field. Do risk assessment and some governance for a cloud company, small startup here in Austin. They have GRC software, and so basically we're trying to get the software and the process and the infrastructure state ramp certified, basically, so the company can start contracting with state governments.
Oh, okay.
It's basically similar to a different program at the federal level called FedRAMP for cloud service providers. So this is basically for one at the state level to work with state agencies for GRC, basically. And currently they have contracts with some educational institutions, universities. Now they're trying to move into the state contract space.
Okay. All right. So a couple of questions. Okay. So the first one is how did you land it? How did you get in?
So my situation is a little bit different than some of your previous guests. I'm a retired Army officer. I just did 20 years in the Army, and last year I spent a couple of years in Korea, where I retired from, and it was a little bit difficult to speak to people back in the U.S. about doing internships, because I knew I was coming back to the U.S. to live and post-military, and it was a little bit difficult to connect with people and do that. So first point, when people talk about networking, absolutely. Networking, talking to people, getting to meet people. Thankfully, in a roundabout way, COVID had a silver lining that it enabled a lot of things to move to Zoom and online and different ways. So it was, the second point is related to the first one, is to have the audacity to try. So the audacity to look for networking opportunities, get on meetings. Sometimes I would get on meetings at 3 a.m. because it was the corresponding time zone back in the US, but I was 15 hours ahead in Korea. I would wake up at 3 a.m. on a Sunday to be able to make the meeting for the previous Saturday in the US, things like that.
Yes.
So basically you have to look for opportunities of networking with people or networking about things, opportunities as well.
I mean, because you can't always just be asking people for things, it's got to be a learning experience. It's got to be a transactional exchange sometimes, whether it's with mentors or with recruiters. And plus every meeting that you get under your belt, I mean, it only helps, right?
Absolutely. You get to meet other people, increase your LinkedIn, but then also, like you said, don't make it so transactional, because it shows that you're looking for, you're actually sharing knowledge, sharing support, sharing everything. And that's how basically you become known and/or people. So when I came back, I took about a couple of months off to move and get all my furniture here and everything like this, my whole new life. And then one of the transition programs that I was doing with a non-profit organization called 4Block. Shout out to these guys. They do an awesome job helping transitioning service members. One of the people who was a mentor, he showed up for a session, and I connected with him, and basically he's the CEO of the company, and I talked to him. Hi, how are you? How's life and everything like this? And eventually a month later we connected again. He's like, hey, send me your resume. Did you make a civilian resume? So again, all that information you learn from people like Jax, like Gerald, when he had his, about civilianizing your resume and experience. I put that in place, but then you ask other people to look into it. I did that. I shared it with him. But then the Audacity piece is where afterwards I was like, hey, if you know of an internship or anything like this. But then when he mentioned, hey, I'm trying to do the state ramp stuff, I said, can I apply for it? Okay. I don't know much about.
I know a guy, right?
Exactly.
Right here.
Still learning this GRC and all that. But that's basically it. So always be on the lookout for opportunities and look for education and networking.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So true. And two things. One, I always say networking is critically important, and I'm glad you brought it up. And you kind of defined it a little bit better too. Like, it's not transactional. You can't go into a, for lack of a better term, relationship or a community looking just for a job. Hey, you got a job, you got a job, you got a job. Like, it's not, it doesn't work that way. You can't approach it that way. And what you did was absolutely spot on. And a famous phrase, I think it's quoted to like a Roman or a Greek named Seneca, that, they're like, oh, look at this guy. He's so lucky. He met the CEO and the CEO just gave him a job. I wish I could be so lucky. It's like, no, like luck is preparation and opportunity meeting, right? You were putting in the work, grinding, getting up, doing those meetings. You probably had a dozen of these like networking meetings that didn't pan out to anything. And then the one did. So, people got to be real, that it's not like the people who are in the roles just like stumbled into them and they're like, oh, here's a job. I got it. Like
I still had to interview with a couple of other of his directors to get the job. Not just like, oh, I know the CEO here, come to work. I still had to do, like you said, the grind.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Anwar, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for sharing your story and taking time to be part of Simply Cyber. All right.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yep. Stacy, our last caller today before we wrap it up. We have blown through the hour limit, and I hope you're cool with that. I know I promised you an hour, but we are bringing on our anchor here. This is Rob. Rob is in San Diego. Rob, you are on with Stacy.
Hey, Stacy.
Hey, Rob. How are you?
Good, thanks. This is good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, and it's interesting to hear. Like I said, everyone's journey is a little bit different, so it's exciting, and it's kind of exciting too to hear all the different roles. So tell us about, what do you do, and how long have you been doing it?
Yeah, so I got into the field. Well, initially I had zero experience in anything related to IT. I got into the field 23 months ago. I was in the field of education. Then we had a baby, and I said, geez, I gotta maybe get into something that's going to be a little bit more supportive towards the family. And so I went back to school to get a master's in information systems and started concentrating on cybersecurity. So after a few months of doing that, I kind of was realizing that I wanted to get into the GRC space, and I was applying to jobs. Nothing was coming about. But then I saw a SOC analyst position that was in person and a 30-minute drive from where I was living. And the kicker was the third shift.
Oh, so, overnight.
The overnight. So I thought about it, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to apply. And initially I went to the location where the SOC was, and I knocked on the door with my resume, and this guy opens the door and was like, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm here to apply for the SOC analyst position. He's like, oh, you're going to have to do it online. And so I went home that same day and I applied online, and within a couple of days I got the call, went through the interview process, and I worked the third shift as a SOC analyst, eventually got promoted to a dedicated SOC analyst. And, 2 a.m, drinking cappuccinos and whatnot with a bunch of other guys that were pretty new to the field. But one thing I'll give, as much as the third shift was rough, but it wasn't as busy as the first shift or the second shift. It did give me time to
study.
To study.
Yeah.
It gave me that time to study. And I'd say within about 6 or 7 months, I got the Security Plus certificate, was able to do some homework, and but then it just got got rough with the family, and I was gearing towards something more towards GRC, and I got to be honest, Jerry's YouTube videos. This is pre masterclass. This was just Jerry's videos on YouTube that really helped me get prepared for interviews. So yeah,
that's awesome. I'm
that's
really glad to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's been the journey, and so currently I'm working as a information security risk analyst.
Okay, all right. And so are you? I mean, I'm assuming you are pretty public with your journey and with sharing and your networking about everything that you're doing right now.
Yeah. I'll be honest. It sounded like there was a lot of people making connections within LinkedIn and whatnot. I didn't do any of that. I didn't do much of that. I think just somebody had mentioned it, being yourself and showing that you're passionate about the industry. You're going to get lucky. Somebody's going to see that, and they're going to be like, oh, this guy could be a diamond in the rough. Who knows? And I think that really, really helped. And, I had gotten a few other certs along the way, just some basic AWS cloud certs and Cisco cert. And so I think just showing, what I accomplished in just a short period of time, I think kind of helped to get me where I am today.
Yeah, no, and I like that.
Yeah,
I like the fact that you said LinkedIn wasn't for you, or it's not your preferred method, and you know what, that's fine too, because obviously it worked. You were able to do what you thought was important, and it was important, and you made it work. So I mean, kudos to you. I like that you have your own path. Yeah.
And if I was to, end with this, is just sometimes you got to do the things you don't want to do, but at the end of the road, there's going to be a benefit. And I think that's that's how I've been going, and just taking the suggestions along the way.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Rob. The great stories, like all around. Rob, I'm gonna drop you so Stacy and I can wrap up the show. But thank you for sharing your story with us and giving your best advice. And I'm really happy that you're a member of the Simply Cyber community.
All right, guys, take it easy. Thank you.
So, Stacy, if I may, I'd like to share my break-in story. I know I've been around a million years.
Oh,
but I just want to tell you, it's kind of similar, right? So I came in as a software engineer with a computer science degree during the .com bust, or basically I couldn't get a job, so I was doing construction. And I'm telling you, people were like, I'm combining kind of two stories right now, but people were like, hey, just get a job. Go get a job doing an analyst work. Like, not security analyst, just go get a job, Jerry. Like, do you really want to be lugging bricks around? And I was like, you know, I am getting shredded, but like, yes, I don't want to do this forever. So anyways, you know, I basically stuck to my guns and committed to it, and then kind of, you know, did some work or whatever. My first cyber job, right? I'm walking my dog, not unlike Rob. I'm walking my dog down the street, just, you know, whatever day. And the company I had worked for actually had gone bankrupt. So I'm like unemployed. And I'm like walking my dog. And by the way, I don't live at home or anything. I have bills, right? Okay. And I'm walking my dog, and I walk by this little converted shoe factory thing that has small businesses in it. One of them says TBG Security. I know some people have heard this. I literally just walked in and like knocked on the door. It's a 2-guy consulting firm, right? It's just like, they kill what they eat, or they eat what they kill. And I'm like, hi, like the most naive, like, you know, anime your eyes. Like, hi, I like security, guys. And can we talk? And they're like, yeah, sure. Like, you know, we own this business. We can do whatever we want. Let's talk. So like, I talked to him for like an hour. This is like pre-YouTube, pre-Discord, pre-community. So this is like, like Web 1.0. So like, and I was like, what do I need to do? Like, how do I get in? What's the work? What's this? What's that? Very, very interested, very passionate. And we exchanged information, and I asked if I could come back in a month and have another conversation. And they said, sure. And they called me in 2 weeks, and they're like, hey, we just won this big piece of work. And like, we really could use like a grunt to do some of the, like the grunt work and allow our senior guy to focus more on the senior stuff. What do you say? And I was like, I say yes.
Yeah.
So you know, so no interviews, kind of like Stacey Feldman. But again, much like Anwar said, I didn't go to that. I didn't knock on that door so I could ask for a job. I knocked on the door to connect with them and share and see if I could contribute or help them in some way. And that, you know, obviously pinwheeled into what has become me. So yeah, so it's good. Guys, I want to share with you, I thought that this stream was absolutely spectacular. Stacy, there has been overwhelming support and love for your hosting abilities. I'm going to have to be careful, or I'm going to lose Simply Cyber. You're going to be the new face of Simply Cyber, and just I'll be the guy who used to be here. No, but genuinely, did you enjoy the hosting experience?
Yeah, no, I really loved talking to everybody. Like I said, it was interesting to see, like, just hear the different titles, and their stories are all like have a similar thread, but are all very unique and different. But I am bummed I wasn't able to, like, I'm not seasoned enough to keep up with chat and comments. So I missed out on all those, but no, it's been awesome.
Yeah, genuinely appreciate it. All right, guys. I saw a couple recommendations in here to go long, which is why we did an extra 20 minutes. I also saw a recommendation, Stacy, if you're interested, another stream idea that would be similar to this is having more senior people in the industry. So all senior people come in and talk about what they're seeing, mistakes that people who are trying to break in make from their perspective. You know what I mean? So we could probably schedule that if you're interested in doing it again.
For sure. No, that sounds awesome. Like, I have a ton of questions. Yeah, that'd be cool. Super cool.
All right. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, let me just tease out really quickly. So I got a special surprise or whatever. So some of you may know who this guy is. This is Rob Lee. He's like the CEO of Dragos, which is like the industrial control system security company. Like when Colonial Pipeline happens, they call Rob Lee. Like when there's problems with OT, they call Rob Lee. He's coming on to Simply Cyber Live next week as our guest to talk about ICS, OT, the current state of it, challenges. I mean, there's a lot going on with, I don't even know if we're going to get into like Ukraine and the recent attack on their electrical grid that failed and all this other stuff, but I'm super pumped to have Rob Lee on. So I hope you guys can join us for that particular live stream. It's going to be fantastic. Obviously, we have first things first, your morning cybersecurity threat briefing tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I hope you can join us for that as well. Stacy, before we say goodbye to the Simply Cyber community, do you have any final things to share?
No, thanks y'all for being so nice and welcoming me. This is my first stream ever. This, like, I don't know, it was scary but really, really fun. You know, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to chat with y'all, talk with y'all more, but no, you guys have been great. Thank you for having me. And thank you, Jerry, for having me too. Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
My pleasure, Stacy. You did wonderful. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for Simply Cyber Live this week. We hope to see you tomorrow on First Things First, or at least next Thursday for Rob Lee and Simply Cyber Live. Until next time, stay secure.